Hey guys, this is my friend Patty and we're going to be doing her makeup today. I prepped her skin by using the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Balm, and she just loves for me to turn around just so she can make her little faces. And I'm calling you out, Heffa. You guys will see a lot of that in this video. So I'm going to be using my MAC 24 Hour Shadow Base, and I'm going to apply that all over her lids. And this is going to help her makeup stay on, or her eyeshadow stay on, and it's also going to keep her shadows from creasing. Adding a primer really helps the eyeshadow stick and pop, so you definitely want to use a primer. And for those of you that have super oily lids, this is a great way to make sure that your shadow stays in place. The next thing I'm taking is this MAC shadow. It's a limited edition. It's in the shade Chamomile, and I'm just going to take that and I'm going to apply it all over her lids. This is going to set the makeup. This is MAC Swiss Chocolate, and I'm using a MAC 221 shadow brush, and I'm going to apply that color into her crease, and we're just going to define the eye and really carve it out. Patty has sad eyes, which means that they turn downward, and so I want to be able to create some lift with this crease color. So I'm just taking that color and I'm blending it back and forth, and I'm also kind of extending it outward. Now I'm going to be using this Marc Jacobs Twinkle Pop shadow, and it's in the color Volver. It's just a really pretty champagne peach color, and I'm going to apply that into her crease. I'm not going to take that color past her crease. We're literally just keeping it right under. I'm just blending that color with a dual fiber brush, and I'm just really making sure that the color is blended and that everything looks smooth and even. And I'm also going to go back in with that 221 and that Swiss chocolate just to make sure that we're keeping the colors divided. I'm doing the same thing to the other eye. Again, I'm just applying the color. We're going to blend it out and work on that crease. After you do your blending, what you guys see me doing here, I'm going to take Soft Brown by MAC, and I'm using the same 221 brush, and I'm applying that color into her crease, which is going to help keep that Swiss chocolate nice and smoky. And I'm just taking, again, Soft Brown and rocking that shade back and forth, really making sure that everything is very smoky and sculpted. It's really important to keep that crease really cut. And again, I turn around and this heifer just loves to make her faces. She pulled it off. So I'm just going back in with chamomile again. You guys can use vanilla or any skin tone shade color. And I'm just taking a fluffy brush and I'm going to place that right under her brow bone. And there we go. I love that face. So, yeah, we were drinking. We were having mimosas. And let me tell you, it was a good time. So again, I'm going to take Soft Brown, and I'm just going to, I'm sorry, this is Jaunty, which is another limited edition eyeshadow by MAC. And I'm literally just patting that color with a 239. And by patting a color on the top of that cream shadow, we're really going to extend the longevity of her shadow. And this heifer just loves to make her faces. She cracks me up. So I'm going to be using Swiss chocolate again with that 221, and I'm going to go in and just make sure that that crease stays defined and that it looks really smooth and carved out. And I'm just taking that color and I'm rocking it back and forth. So yeah, just go on and keep blending. This is going to be one of those processes that you guys just have to work on and build to make sure that it just stays separated. Now I'm taking this highlight color by MAC, and I believe the color is Bone, and I'm just using that right under her brow bone with the same MAC 239. I'm using this corrector highlight duo from MAC Cosmetics. You guys have seen me use it a trillion times, and I'm using the peach color right under her eyes, and the reason is that Patty has a little bit of purplish blue undertone under her dark circles. So by using a peach corrector, we're really going to correct that blue. And I'm doing that before I apply concealer. I'm just using a dual fiber concealer brush to blend that out and make sure that it's very thin. And I'm going to go in again with that corrector color, and it's a peach shade, and I'm going to just add a little bit more coverage to her under eye. I felt like it needed a little bit more brightening. So I'm using that color and I'm just patting it where I feel like she needs it. I'm also bringing it down into her cheek a little bit just because she had a little bit of redness, and it wasn't super red or dark or obvious, but I just wanted it to look a little bit brighter and smoother. So I'm just patting that color and making sure that it's seamless. I end up taking the yellow corrector and I corrected her cheeks a little bit more, her chin, her forehead. She had a little bit of redness. It's not anything that's crazy or super intense, but I wanted to make sure that when I applied her foundation, everything looked really perfect and seamless. So I'm just taking that and I'm patting it and really making sure that it's a nice thin layer. You don't want to cake this stuff on. Okay guys, now I'm taking my YSL foundation, and clearly this is not her color, but this is in the shade BD45, and I'm just taking a BH Cosmetics flat top brush and I'm going to start patting that color onto her skin. I'm taking very little and I'm going to just build that coverage up as needed. So I'm just taking that and I'm starting to blend that down into her chin, right where I applied that corrector, to make sure that everything is covered and it looks perfect. Now I'm just taking a little bit more of that product and I'm adding coverage where she still has a little bit of redness peeking through. Right as she turned over, I noticed that she still had some redness coming through, so I'm just taking just a little bit more of that foundation and I'm patting it onto the areas where there's a little bit of redness that's still peeking through the foundation. And I'm just taking this and I'm really buffing it in and pushing it in. I'm also bringing that down into the neck so that it all blends in together and it doesn't look like she has two different faces. You want to make sure that everything looks super smooth and seamless, especially when you are using a foundation that's slightly darker than the person's skin tone. In this case, it's like 50 times darker than her. Okay, and again, she loves her faces. There she is. So I noticed that she had a little bit of a blemish peeking through, so I just went over it with whatever foundation was left on the brush. But I felt like she would benefit from adding a little bit of more of that corrector, so I'm just going in with the corrector and I'm going to pat that right on top of the blemish, and just to kind of even her out, I'm going to do a little bit on the other side of her cheek as well. And I'm going to go in with my foundation brush again and I'm just going to pat that so it looks very smooth and seamless and you don't see it. You always want to make sure to blend, even if it feels like you're blending way outside of the size of that blemish or redness or whatever you're trying to cover, but you want to make sure that it looks blended. Okay, so now I'm taking my MAC NC30 concealer. Patty normally wears an NC20 in MAC foundation. And again, since she is wearing my foundation, we are using my concealer. So I'm taking that NC30 and I'm just lightly patting it under her eyes. I'm building the coverage, but really making sure that it's a sheer amount of product that's under her eyes, because she is a little bit drier, so I don't want to enhance any of that dryness. I want to make sure that it looks as natural and as glowy as possible. And as always, you guys know I always go in with my foundation brush and I just buff along the edges of anything I put on the face, and this just helps it look natural and it doesn't look like separated. You definitely want it to look like it just blends. This is my RCMA translucent setting powder and I'm using my Laura Mercier powder puff, and I took a little bit of that product onto the puff and I tapped off any excess. So I'm just going to take that product and I'm going to pat it on her face. But this heifer got a little out of line, so she needed a little bit of a slapping. So as you guys see, I'm really pushing that product onto her face. And I'm going to go also under her eyes. This powder is very finely milled, and by taking whatever's left over on the sponge and just really patting it under her eye, it's going to give you just very minimal product, and it's going to just set the makeup and look natural. And as you guys can see, her face looks very silky and smooth, and it doesn't look like she has a ton of product on her face. Okay, now to bronze up her face, I am taking this Becca brush and my Makeup Forever 20M bronzer, and I'm going to start off by just kind of sculpting the cheek a little bit, and I'm also running this same bronzer on the temples and a little bit on her forehead, and this is just going to help it look as natural as possible. And I'm going to take a little bit more of that product and do the other cheek. Now I come back after doing both sides and I'm just intensifying that contour a little bit. I'm using the same brush, but I'm really running it down the sides of her nose, her jawline, and I also bring it down into her neck. You guys always want to make sure to bring your bronzer down into your neck. You want to connect everything that you apply to your face. Now, to give this Heffa Gabby's Glow, I'm going to be taking this Laura Geller highlighter, and it's in the color Ballerina, and I'm using the brush 133 by MAC, and I'm just highlighting the high points of her face. I'm really focusing that color on her cheekbones and her brow bone. I'm going to be using my Stila Cushion Liner, and this stuff is amazing, and I'm using my all-time favorite liner brush, and it's the MAC 210. It's such a thin brush. It's freaking amazing. I like to start, I don't know why, actually. When I do somebody else's makeup, I start at the inside of the eye and work my way out. So I started really lining Patty's inside of the eye, and as you guys see, I'm now towards the end, and I'm going to start working on her wing. So I will tell you guys just something that I've started to do as a freelance artist is that when I'm doing eyeliner on someone, I don't have them close their eyes, because if you look at yourself or someone else when their eyes are closed, you see texture on the eyelid. You see that, you know, especially closer to the lash line, it's not smooth. So when you're running a product through that, you're going to get streaks or patchiness or uneven liner. So you want to make sure that the person tilts their head back and keeps their eyes open, and then you'll get a nice smooth line. And as you guys can see, Patty's wing liner is on bleak, y'all. It looks good. So now we're going to work on the other eye. And I really tried to get as much of this on camera as possible, but it's so hard, guys. I legit tried, just because I know I've had a few questions on how to do wing liner and just some tips and tricks. Maybe I will film that on my Say What Wednesday video. So anyway, now I'm working on her wing, and as you guys see, I'm just slowly taking that wing out, and it looked really good. This liner is amazing. So I like to go in again and make sure that everything is smooth and super dark. So now I'm just basically going over what I had already created. So it looks really intense and smooth. This liner is awesome, guys. So again, I'm having her look down and towards me so that I can get that inner corner, and I'm getting it as close to the lash line as I possibly can. So I'm very impressed, and I loved this product. It's, again, one of my favorites, but it's pretty cool to use it on someone else. So now I'm just touching up her liner and making sure again that everything is smooth and even. So now that we're content with that, we're moving on to the lower lash line. I'm going to be taking one of my all-time favorite eye kohls by MAC, and this is Costa Riche. It's just such a beautiful brown red shade, and it has a little bit of a bronzy finish to it. So I'm going to be taking that, and I'm lightly taking that under her waterline. So I'm not adding any color to the waterline. I'm literally keeping this on the outside, and I'm running it through her lashes. So I'm going to do the other eye, and I have a powder puff on my finger if you guys are wondering. So this is Swiss Chocolate. It's one of the colors I use on her crease. And I'm using a MAC pencil brush, and I'm going to be running that same color under her lash line, and that's going to help smoke it out. So I like to start by building a color right under the lash line so it looks a little messy, and then I like to really smudge out the liner with the same color. So as you guys see, it looks really smoky and pretty. Now I'm taking Chamomile by MAC, and this is just a fluffy brush by Sonia Kashuk, and I'm literally just kind of cleaning up the lower lash line a little bit. It's just a little trick I do. For her cheeks, I'm keeping it pretty simple. I'm going to be taking MAC's Poised, and I'm using, of course, my trusty 137 brush by MAC, and I'm just building her cheek up. So I'm keeping that right above the contour, but I'm also blending it into her contour so it looks really smooth, and it doesn't look like she's got products, you know, just that are sitting on top of each other. You really want to make sure that they're blended and that the skin looks flawless. I'm going to be using my YSL Full Sills mascara on her, and she already had some mascara on, so rather than having her remove all of it, I'm just combing the top of her lashes with the comb or the wand, and that's going to help basically separate some of the product that she already had on, and it's going to help build the lash so that it looks longer and fuller, and it just makes a difference. So just a little quick tip. For her eyebrows, I'm going to be using Anastasia Brow Wiz, and this is in dark brown, and I'm lightly filling in the bottom of her eyebrows, and this is just going to help start building that shape. As you guys can tell, Patty has full lashes, or I'm sorry, full eyebrows, and she doesn't need a lot of product, so I wouldn't use like a brow gel with her or anything like that. I'm just lightly filling in, or I'm sorry, dip brow pomade is what I meant. She doesn't need an exaggerated brow. She just needs a little bit of filling. So I'm running that pencil again through the lower part of her brow just to kind of really add some definition. And then I'm going to comb it up into her actual brow hair. And now I'm just combing the hair up so that I can really see the natural shape of her brow. So as you guys can tell, it totally made a big difference. The other brow is on fleek and the other one is womp womp. Patty wanted me to overdraw her lip a little bit, so just a little tip for you guys. You want to use something that's similar to your lip color. In this case, I'm using nothing but nude for Patty. It's just a really pretty peachy nude shade. And I am going to be overdrawing her lip a little bit, but when you're overdrawing your lip, you really want to just overdraw the cupid's bow and literally the center of the lower lip, and then you would connect it to your regular lip. If you overdraw the entire lip, it's going to look very clownish and unnatural. So the way to get really plump full lips is by just doing the center, literally the cupid's bow and the lower lip. So as you guys can see, I'm just filling her lip in a little bit now, just to kind of extend the longevity of her lipstick. But I'm now overdrawing her cupid's bow, and it does make a difference. Look at those delicious lips, girl.
Don't be a bitch. ¡Ay, no! ¡Se me cayó!
¿Qué onda que se quebró?
Pero me cayó una pierna, yo quería que me cayera en la boca.
Now that I've spilled my mimosa, we are moving on to lips. So I'm going to be using Stila's Firenze liquid lipstick on Patty, and I'm just using a lip brush, and I'm taking that and just filling in what I have already overdrawn. So I'm having her smile a little bit just so that I can really get into all the lines on her lips and make sure that it looks really smooth. Also, by having your client smile as you're applying liquid lipstick, you're also going to prevent it from looking really dry. So as you guys can see, she is looking fine. So I'm just taking a little bit of that liner again. I'm sorry, that liquid lipstick, and I'm just kind of going around the edges, making sure that everything is really filled in and it looks super good. So again, I'm just taking that and I'm taking my time with building the lip. You don't want to rush something like that just because you could easily jack it up. So just take your time. Alright guys, and as you guys see, the look is complete and she looks fabulous. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any requests, and we will talk to you soon. Don't forget to like. Bye.